Hello friends, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. This is Viniyogi Yogi from New Zealand. Today I'm going to show you one of a beautiful place here in New Zealand. This is what we call Rakaya George. So this area is famous for one of a beautiful river we might call Rakaya River. So that's why we call Rakaya Gorge. You can see beautiful mountains here. Yeah, and that's also a scenic view from that bridge. Can you see that? Yeah, I will take you to there as well after few minutes. So let's start our video. So I got a call from Sri Lanka and some South Africa. So the guys are talking about NZETA visa. So NZETA visa, I have discussed a lot on this e-visa, and where I also create a video, separate video. I will give you the descriptions in the description below, and where I briefed about the whole NZETA visa process, how you can get that. So some of the guys have put so many questions. Despite I have made that video, I would like to clarify those answers here in this video so that they understand, yeah, what is required. They are curious to know that during COVID phase whether we can enter to New Zealand or not, and there are other questions as well. So I will just sit here and I will just brief you about. Just give me a second. Let me hold it for you. Yeah. So they put the questions, different questions. I'm going to cover each and every questions here in this video. So again, this video is going to be very long, and we will try to capture another content as well, which is of course related to the migration in overseas from Asian country to New Zealand, Canada and Europe. So this video is going to be a generic, but most of the time we are going to cover various questions and answers in this video. I hope, instead of like, few people are also again like still calling me on my WhatsApp during my night time. Please stop calling me on the odd hours. I always try to take the calls whenever I can. The best way to contact me is on my comment sections in the YouTube sections, where I just um, upload the videos, and you can mention in the comment sections and I reply each and every comment there. So the first question was from South Africa, and the guy was asking me, he has having a NZETA visa, so he want to check me that whether it is real or fake. So the answer for this question is, all the NZETA visa is not very critical, first of all, because it doesn't ask you so much details. So if you go to the website and when you upload your own information, you just fill up the form. It's just like a basic form. So it will ask you the passport details, the reason of travel, your address, date of birth and various other things. And once you fill up the form, it will take you to the payment section, and where you have to give the payment of roughly around like uh, 30 New Zealand dollars maybe. So which is, if you're talking about the Indian currency, it is roughly like less than 2000 rupees. So once you upload the payment, then your visa is being issued through NZ immigration online website, and it is we called a ETA visa. So as this form is not critical, so anybody who put ever the information, who put information in the website, either by himself or on behalf of other applicants. So even like if a agent is filling up your form, so he's putting down all your details, so definitely the visa is original. So there is no chances of fake visa. Because why I'm telling you, because the website only issues one visa, and the visa is genuine. So whether you filling it from your own self, or whether the information is filled by the agent, travel agent, so whoever get the NZ visa, so there is no question of like fake document, because this is not a rocket science, and you can easily get that visa through online purpose. So all the guys who are asking me, who are sending me their original visas, they asking whether it is fake or real. The answer is clear cut, it's a real visa. And the second thing, how you can check the genuinity, if you go to the immigration website, so it will take you to the um, online details, and if you put your visa number there, and if that website is showing your visa, that's another way of checking that genuine or fakeness. So the next question he asked about, can he enter on NZETA visa on New Zealand? So of course, NZETA visas allow you to enter in New Zealand as a visitor visa holder. But the tricky part is, mostly NZETA visa is used by the person who are in the friendly nations countries with New Zealand. So there are a list of countries where the only those country people are eligible to get entered through NZETA visa via air mode. So air mode means through airport. So most of these countries belongs to the European countries, Canadian citizen, USA citizen, Southern America, or some of the Asian countries like Korea, Japan, and the oceanic countries. If someone is talking about NZTA visa been issued for Indian citizens or like African citizens, Bangladeshis, Sri Lanka, so the answer is, you have to go to the website and check the eligibility there first. Read the immigration website carefully. Every information is clearly mentioned there. Who are eligible, who are not eligible, and if you get an NZETA visa, how you can get enter into the country. So there it is clearly mentioned that you can only enter through a C mode. C mode means you can only enter through a cargo ship or a passenger ship, basically. So there is only two ways of. Now the next question comes, when the guys are asking me questions, can we enter on NZETA visa to New Zealand? Yes, you can enter it, but there are certain conditions. So for example, if you're coming through C mode, yes, you can enter like from sea to like New Zealand borders, but at the border you will ask a certain set of documents more, depends upon your nationality of your country. Mostly when you enter through the sea mode, the the general documents is being asked about your purpose of visit, your bank statement, and your staying arrangements in New Zealand. I need to hold this, and I am going to take a call. Then I will call you back. I'm not able to receive the call. Okay, let's leave it. So the another set of documents has been required. So your statement of purpose, your staying arrangements in New Zealand, and they will also ask you a letter from your captain of the ship that he would be your guarantor, that you will definitely come back to your ship. So these are the set of documents required, being when you are going to enter in on an NZETA visa through C mode. So again, this is very tricky. The person who belongs to, like, on a cargo vessel, or he is a passenger, you imagine yourself, no one would like to take your guarantee, at least not a captain. Captain is not going to take your guarantee, so he is not going to issue a letter until and unless you work for or that passenger cargo ship, or the cargo ship, or the container cargo vessel. If you are a worker there, of course they can take your guarantee, but if you are a passenger, for passenger, no one takes the guarantee. The same way, like, if you are traveling through air mode, and you are a passenger, so the captain, like, or the pilot is not going to take a responsibility for, like, he is, like, landing in a country, like, and he is not going to issue a letter. So there is no chance of getting that kind of documents. That means the answer is indirectly no. But if you still can arrange all these documents, you are most welcome to come on an NZETA visa anytime. I hope, like, um, this replies all the question and answer, specifically from South Africa and the Indian guys who really want to come on an NZETA visa. The another question, one of the Indian guy was asking, can I work on a NZETA visa? Because some of the agent, they are just making fool of people. What that means, they are issuing a fake work sponsorship where the genuinity of employer is not there. I saw some of the offer letter which, like, they send me through WhatsApp. So the answer is big no. NZETA visa is purely a tourist visa. You cannot work on tourist visa. Let it be clear. Whether it is a NZETA visa or whether it is a normal visitor visa. Visitor visa means itself, by the name and definition itself, it says it is for visiting purpose only. You need to explore the country. So on visitor visa, you cannot work. And second thing, similarly, NZETA visa doesn't allow you to work. So guys, don't make fool of yourself, and don't come in the, like, don't trust on these travel agents. They are making fool of the people, and they are taking your money, they are taking your hardcore money, so which is not good at all. So I hope this is very something disappointing, like people are charging around like 5 lakh rupees, 4 lakh rupees on behalf of this NZETA visa. So I am not sure, like, why, despite the awareness, like, people are still making fool. Yeah, making fool of people. I also want to add here in this video, the way, like, you guys call me and you expect, like, any shortcut. So let me tell you and repeat you again, there is no way of shortcut to migrate in overseas. Why I am telling you all of these guys? Because there is no shortcut, there is no unethical, like if you want to go to unethical way, it's not like you are not going to stay there like legally. And if you are not legally staying there in that country, of course, like one day you will be deported, which is not good for your like further travel purpose or like migration purpose, not good for your family. Because like if some country deport you, and when you go back to your home country, you will be get penalized for that. It can be a criminal convictions in your home country, you have to go to the jail and something, and like you have to face the criminal offenses and charges, something like that. My recommendation would be, don't ask any shortcuts. There is no shortcuts, because most of the country are working these days online. They taking your fingerprints, they checking full all documentations before issuing any visa, whether it is a visitor visa, whether it is a student visa, or whether it is a work visa. They do a lot of cross checks. So there is no way to come on a shortcut. So my sincere advice to all of you peoples, a friendly advice, don't go for a shortcut. Don't look for a shortcut. It is not worthwhile at all. What was the next question? I still able to recollect the conversation held in the last few weeks. Mm, so generally, a few people ask me what kind of job they are supposed to do that once they come and migrate in the other countries, and what kind of job experience they should carry, which can easily help them to find out a new job when they are being shifted to recent to the new countries. It's again depend on all experience. Mostly the countries like Europe, New Zealand and Australia and Canada, most of these countries require a skilled job. So skilled job means the person who has a certain skills level of skill set of level. So like plumber, electricians, then butchers, then farm workers, then support worker, nurses, doctors, engineers, welders. These kind of occupations which falls under the skill categories. So most of these countries require the skilled manpower. You need to figure it out in your home country how you can be a skilled person. That means you must have at least 1 years of skilled experience in your home country if you want to migrate to overseas. Because I'm not saying that if you're not skilled, then you won't able to get a job. That doesn't mean that. But if you are having a proper skill set which is matching with the that company desired skill occupation list, of course you will get a immediate job offer within certain few weeks of like hardcore your efforts. So my recommendation would be, go and hunt for a skilled experience. And we are talking about like a small little like small experience, like if you work as an electrician in your home country for like 5-6 months, you can have at least a mid skill level of idea how to do that job. If you can repair household items which including the white goods like fan, refrigerator, washing machine, just the basic stuff, then you will call yourself as a skilled worker. If you can do some welding basics, you are calling yourself as a skilled worker, like MIG welding, arc welding, or something like that. If you are a carpenter, then if you can make some furniture, you are you falls under the skilled category. Though when you work as a carpenter in your home country, that doesn't have any like uh, a paper based qualification, but that's okay. If you can vet that with your experience, like that you're working like 3 or 4 years of like as a carpenter, as a stone mason, or as a welder, then if you can vet that, you will treat yourself as a skilled worker. I got a recent call from one of a follower in India, and he was having a 4 to 5 years of quality control manager in a production company. The company was dealing in the meat business. When I go and check that, and when I have a discussion with that fellow, then I come to know that he also worked as a butcher, a wholesale butcher, and a process worker, and he can also work as a carcass or a slaughter board, and uh, various sausage roller machines, and the different machines using in the meat factory. So he has having a quite very rich experience in that meat processing company. So he was working with the same company for almost 4 to 5 years, and later on, like last year, he will be promoted as a production manager. Now this production manager might be a mid-skill job in somewhere in India, but that production manager experience can only be counted as in India only. But if he expect that he will treat, he can get a production manager job in somewhere in overseas market, that is like, it's very hard to get that the same title. The reason is why you don't have experience of handling the other country's citizens manpower. You don't know how they work in that organization. You don't know what is the health and safety requirement of that organization or that specific country. That means you need to be first, make yourself familiarize with those system. Once you get that, then maybe like, you can get that job. Yeah. So again, like, if we can't get as a production manager, of course, like, because you are a skilled manpower, they will definitely give you or offer you a job for like a butcher, and which is a very demanding occupation in most of the this big white countries. Yeah. Now I will take you to some other location so that you can not only enjoy the discussion held about the visas, questions and answers, but at the same time I would like to show you the New Zealand beauties around as well. I think, yeah. So about this location, this is Rakaya Gorge or George. Then this is a very beautiful location. Today is very sunny day here, and the weather is fantastic. So I thought, like, it is roughly around 1.5 hour journey in car from my house where I live here. Yeah. So what we are discussing about, before that I just want to show you the another place as well. This is from the top of that Rakaya Gorge. Yeah. So this is all beautiful oceanic blue water of that river, where I just take a bath, and I would like to show you what it says. The Taniwha of Rakaya. According to Maori legend, a Taniwha lives in the Rakaya Gorge. His efforts to block out the northwest wind led to narrowing that river. This is also the view. Yeah. There is a big track if someone want to go for a trekking. Yes, so he can go up to this location. So we are standing here. Oh, sorry, here. We can also go for a small walk here, which is just roughly toward that side. And there, here we just came from. Yeah, there is a picnic spot as well here. We can also do camping ground here. Yeah, and we came from that bridge. Can you see that? I will show you this one. This one. So we can also go towards that side on those mountains. There is a beautiful track around here, and I will take you to the another walk toward that side. So this is 1 minute walk toward that cliff. Can you see that? In the winter, what happened? Can you see those mountains? So in winter, what happened? These old mountains been covered up with the snow. Yeah. So it says lookout point around like 200 meters. So we were discussing about the migrations question and answers. If you still have any doubts or questions about NZ ETA visa, I'm still happy to answer your all questions. So you can put your questions, whatever the doubts you have, just put the same in the comment section, and I will give you reply. See that gorgeous water, so beautiful, so beautiful. Yeah, so I will try to give you the answers as per my best knowledge, so don't worry about that. I don't feel bad even if you ask 1,000 questions. Yeah, but before you have any questions, I would request you to take a proper deep look on my videos, because who might knows, I already have answered your questions in that video. But if still you are not convinced, then you can put your comment in the comment section, and I am happy to answer you accordingly. Yeah, this is a little small steep walk. I'm little feel my breath become very heavy now. Yeah, because I'm going towards that cliff side. Can you see that? Yeah, I'm going there because I want to show you where I'm going, where I am enjoying today. So what exactly happened? I work Monday to Friday here, and I have a long weekdays off because Christmas, Boxing Day, Saturday and Sunday, then New Year, and a day after New Year, the very following day, we all have that public holidays. So roughly I got around 10 days leave. Yeah. So you can see we are almost there where we want to go. We are almost there. Yeah. this is the view from that cliff where we have discussed just 2 minutes before. So I show you that the view from that cliff. Yeah, so that was so gorgeous and beautiful and stunning. So now we are going back to our car, and there, can you see that beautiful surroundings here? Yeah, it's so beautiful. One day I would like to go and explore this area with a walking track, maybe. I have applied my another big annual holidays in somewhere around um, what you call uh, in the month of February, yeah, January end and February first week. My boss is approved for the leave for 10 days. Yeah. So then I would like to show you some more location during that period. Yeah. So this way we can not only discuss about your question and answers, but we can also show you around the best place of New Zealand. Yeah, this is so beautiful. So the next question was related to when the New Zealand borders are going to open. I opened, I uploaded a video like a few weeks before uh, about the New Zealand border opening. So the recent update is at present from earlier the date was like 12th of January, but New Zealand just extended the date for 16th January. So from 16th January onwards, the resident and the citizens can come back to New Zealand without MIQ and quarantine option. From 13 February, they are allowing some of the visa holders with their immediate family members and without MIQ facility. So the first entry is through Australia, but from February onwards, anyone can come who is an immediate family member. He can come to New Zealand through any country. And from 30th April onwards, New Zealand will be open the borders for everyone. And whoever are holding some valid visa, they can come to New Zealand quickly, and they don't need to go for a MIQ facility, or they don't need to go for a quarantine facility. So that is all about the border opening. I hope that topic is also been covered. Yeah. So after that, we just want to go to another place, but we don't have the time left. So I just came back to home because suddenly I got so many calls from like other countries, and my followers want to contact me. So I just came back. Yeah. So coming back to our main content, the question and answer about the migration purpose. There was another girl from India who just got a study visa just very recently. She was curious to know that, and she was feeling a little bit scary because she is going out for the first time out of India without her parents. Yeah, so she is coming alone in New Zealand. So she was wondering how she is going to manage the expenses, and what are the facilities she can avail, like when it comes to, and how she get the accommodation sorted. Yeah. So she is coming to the Auckland, and I'm Christchurch based. So to answer that question, first of all, you shouldn't be feel scary when you're coming to New Zealand. It's 100% safe country. So be sure, like there are rules and regulation are well in place. So you shouldn't will feel scary about New Zealand. It is not just like the other places where you can't go, and people will like snatch you or something like that. So there is no crimes. New Zealand is 99.9% crime free. Yeah, 0.1% I'm just including that because exceptions are always there. But even like I've been here from last almost 8 9 years now, so I never found any crime here, not even heard of like in the news. And I was in Auckland, so even if you roam around in the night time, even after 10 o'clock 12 o'clock in the midnight, you're absolutely fine. So because I know like previously I was doing when I was in Auckland a few years ago, so that time I was doing the night jobs. My shift was finishing around somewhere like 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock in the midnight, because that time I was starting my shift around like 2 o'clock. Yeah. So it's depends upon like your shift side shift timings. And during that I was like on I was struggling with the money. So I need to take care of the expense as well. So that time I was new to New Zealand, and when I was finishing in the midnight, the streets were quite lonely. So you don't need to worry about, yeah, it's a very beautiful weather, and like there is no crime rate. So I was in Auckland, so you shouldn't be worried about. So that's what I can tell you from my side. Coming back to your main question, like how you're going to sort out your accommodation, so you should be fine. My recommendation for you would be uh, book your arrangements in like a backpacker hostel or a Airbnb. Yeah. So that those places are the quite the best one in New Zealand, and it's 100% safe. In backpacker hostels, so you can book those options from Hostel World. So Hostel World is quite very decent website. Say you will find a plenty of option there in Auckland. And if you want to book Airbnb, so you can also go and visit that website. That's the best option for you to initially come down here. Book yourself for like a week or 10 days in that hostel. Or you can also do one thing, you can book yourself like for 2 days. And once like you can extend your stay, or if you don't like the hostel or like the same accommodation, so you can switch over to the other hostel option. There are so many options available in Auckland City. So you don't need to be worried about that accommodation part. Once you will be inside New Zealand, then you can always discuss with your classmates, and you can also discuss with your college teachers and like senior students. The generation like when it comes to like students, like they're very quite helpful, and they will be a big help for you, your classmates, even they don't know you, but like they will try to figure it out something for you. So that, even like I understand you're coming alone here, and your parents might be worried about like but you shouldn't be so much concerned, because it is not like India. So we are you struggling with the small basic things. And you can also contact me either on like YouTube comment section, or you can also personal WhatsApp me. Then I can find out some of my friends there in Auckland, and I can ask them if they can find you some accommodation for you. So that's, I can help you from my side. So what about another question was, I forgot this time, I didn't make the note actually, so I'm still struggling with that. But but the questions actually, because I want to do it because I constantly getting so many calls in last week, and it is difficult sometimes for me to handle all those inquiries over the phone. but at the same time, like some people are asking random questions on comment section as well, so that is fine. Yeah, but I want to give the answer as quickly as possible, but there are some urgent priority as well, so that's why I want to make this video so urgently. Yeah, I don't want people should having their question in mind and they should wait for long period, I hate that actually, to be honest. Yeah, I want to give them good services from my side when it comes to their inquiries or questionnaires or something like that. Yeah. So another question was, oh yeah, yes. So one businessman was from Bangladesh. So he used to call me a lot. Yeah, and we have very good bonding now. So he was a concern about he just want to migrate New Zealand. So my recommendation for him would be, if you want to, because of your age factor, it is not recommendable that you should come on a work visa in a different trade which is not belongs to your area of expertise. For example, you are around like 50 years, so my recommendation would be for you, you should come and explore this country from a basic job actually. And when it comes to the gardening job, my suggestion would be for you, gardening is not your expertise, it is not belongs to your similar profile. You have something else, you have your retail store, your wholesale business, and that's totally different line from this agriculture sector when it comes to about horticulture or gardening operations. As a gardener, I understand you have your already a close relative who is been based in New Zealand in Auckland, and he is giving you some some information in the background, you just come on any kind of visa like visitor visa and you can convert it into the work visa later. But I tell you, even if you come on a visitor visa, if you don't have any conditions, then definitely you can switch over to the another visa if you get a sponsorship. But the challenge is with your profile is, first of all, you are not in that kind of age factor. Your age would be a really concern, because when it comes to the gardening profile, probably it's a hard labor job basically, and one employer might be looking for a youngster actually. And there are plenty of youngsters available who are doing their agriculture course of horticulture, and they might be best suitable candidate for that profile. If you want to compete with them, you will definitely going to face a lot of big competition from them. And second thing, it looks very easy when you see it from overseas, from your home country. Oh, this minimum wages are say like 2 lakh rupees of Indian rupees, so monthly it's pretty very big amount of money. But when it comes to the practical experience, so might be it could be a disaster for you at your age basically, because sometimes the jobs can't be so easy the way it looks like. And second thing, it is not only the job part actually. When it comes to switch over to the another visa, of course you have to match certain qualities, or you have to match certain job responsibilities with your previous experience. And your previous experience doesn't belongs to any horticulture, gardening, or agriculture background. So immigration officer might be suspicious why you want to do this kind of job after coming on a tourist visa in New Zealand. Now you want to look for a job as a gardener at the age of 50. So he might be not looking from a positive perspective, for positive futuristic perspective, that you just he might think just want to migrate here, and that could not be a positive scenario for your application. So I won't recommend you to come on that option. As I mentioned many times before, and I tell you guys always that you shouldn't find a kind of jugad, or like what you call a shortcuts just for the purpose of migration. Because When it comes to migration, lot of documentation is been involved, and second thing, like your background and education experience, everything does matter. Everything does matter in terms of immigration. And nowadays everything is online. You can't hide your experience, you can't hide anything from any immigration system. Like, wherever I visit, all the countries are online. I never filed my paper based application ever before. New Zealand, like until last year we were filing the paper based application, but now moving forward, no paper based application is entertaining by New Zealand government, so everything is online. And after from this year July onwards, um, they are full fledged, in the new online system, and they have taken already the appropriate measurements in that concept. Yeah. So one of the I just uploaded a new video recently in one of residency visa, where I have elaborated like so many live experience of my followers or my other friends, and my immediate close friends actually. Yeah. So I share there, and through various social website, so I just share their real experience. That time, New Zealand has given this opportunity for residency option. It's purely online system, so not a single paper based application will entertaining nowadays. So this is for that person recommendation for Bangladeshi specifically. And another gentleman was asking to for migration in Europe. For of course Europe, previously, when Omicron was not there, so some of the country they have opened their border, which includes like Germany, France, then UK, Spain, Italy. They opened their border. Yeah. So they were accepting the fresh application from all over the world for different visa. But now challenge is the moment this Omnicore bubble again burst, so people feel scary, and no country wants to entertain you as a threat, or as a this no one expect you to arrive with this virus. And definitely if you will be on the in the same situation, you won't like to allow any people there in your country. So at present, in my knowledge, UK is only open, and they are accepting application from different areas, but they are only allowing limited options. It is about study visa, they are accepting that, which I heard that people are still migrating, able to migrate there. So all the student visa holders or whoever are looking for a higher studies, they can go to UK. And work visa options, they are accepting nurses, doctors, and some critical care healthcare worker, because they are finding much difficulties in handling their hospital hospital workers actually. They are struggling with that a lot. So if someone is working as a nurse, or someone is working as a critical care health worker, support worker, or in an old age home care, that kind of experience if he or she have, so this is the right time to apply for UK. And that youth mobility scheme is also open now from 1st January onwards. And in this context, I also make another video, already made around 1 month before, I think last month I made a video and upload that. That's a separate video about UK youth mobility scheme, I think. Yeah. So under that scheme, this is something like similar to lottery system. So if someone has a skill set which UK requires, that so everyone can apply that, but they will only consider 3,000 application through expression of interest. Yes, I remember. So there was another girl who was around 29 years old from India, and she has having a different question. So she want to apply for this youth mobility scheme. So she was asking about what is the process and what documents we need to apply. So they didn't still disclose any documentation part, but their website says they have mentioned an email ID. So the system says on the website that one has to apply with a statement of purpose, what we call SOP. I'm repeating it, statement of purpose. In that email, a detailed email about your past credentials, your past educational background, and your relevant experience in that field. And secondly, what skill set you do have and how you're going to contribute to UK with your skill set level. So you have to submit your application that we call a expression of interest, that why you want to apply for this scheme actually, and what is the purpose, and how you are fit into that scheme actually. So that kind of information they initially want to get it from your side, because this is for the first time in India when they open this, when they added Indian nationalities for the first time in that program basically. That was already a running program, but like only the friendly nation countries they have been part of that program. But now they including like India, they added like six more countries there, like which includes I think Ireland and Korea and Japan. Yeah, few more countries they added in that list. So this is another opportunity, um, but up to 30 years. Yeah. So one can apply for like expression of interest, and then you have to wait, and you will get a reply from their Ministry of Business of UK. They will select like with the lottery system, and they will randomly select the application, and they will reply you back. Then after that they will ask you like where to send the documentations, what kind of experience you have, or whatever, like your bank statement or any documentation part they will ask you through the email, and they will suggest you, and then you have to follow that process. So that is all about your youth mobility scheme for UK. Apart from this, most of the countries in Europe has closed their borders again because of Omicron. So this is not the right time to apply any kind of visa. Yes, so for sure, some part of Europe countries they are accepting migrations, like migrants. Um, I heard Ukraine, mm, the people are moving, whether it is study visa holder or like work visa holder. So Ukraine is been open, and Czech Republic, then Malta is also accepting some applications. Yeah, but only like for critical purpose. So for sure, like still there is a threat for Omicron. So we really can't say that like it's 100% open. Yeah. So that's a very sad story. Yes, yeah, but this is the hard fact. Yeah, I don't want to put you in like in a green picture. So I always want to share you the real picture of what is happening around the world. And when it comes to like migration, I always want to share you the latest updates happening in the industry, and which country is flexible, what kind of like opportunity they are offering. Yeah, that's all about. There was a person like who is coming on a partnership visa. So like his scenario is something different. So his wife is basically a critical healthcare worker, and she is also doing the studies, some like I think master program in somewhere in healthcare. So now he is being exempted. So very soon, like he's coming to New Zealand in I think the last week of February, or maybe first week of March. So he has a concern like he has having a open work visa based upon his partnership. So he was asking about like the business prospect might be like he might be very rich, so he want to do some business. So first of all, let me tell you, on a open work as a open work visa holder, because of your partnership status, you cannot operate directly business there, but there are certain options indirectly available to you. I'm not sure about that, but you need to check with a immigration lawyer. Yeah, how you would like to go with that. That is my advice to you, because I'm not an expertise, I'm not a lawyer. Yeah. So I don't want to give you I won't want would like to present myself in such a way. Yeah. So I'm just like your friend, and I'm just sharing my practical experience with you guys, basically. So whatever the information I'm getting, it is purely based upon the content of the relevant immigration website, which is available openly for everyone. And there you find some clues. Yeah. So you need to discuss with the immigration lawyer before make certain decision. So my advice would be, as an open work visa holder, as per my understanding, you're not authorized to do any business there, but you can operate a taxi driving business here. So you can operate your own taxi, you can run a taxi here, you can hire take your own car and convert it into the P endorsement. And your COF, basically COF is a certification for fitness of your car. You have to get your convert your overseas license to New Zealand license, a full driving license, and after that certain period you can put a P endorsement. So P endorsement is nothing like that, it is just like a passenger endorsement. So then you can carry passenger in your same car. So this taxi driving is a good business, so it is self-employed basis, so you can run that. The another thing is, you can be a self-employed person but under some Kiwi business owner. Yeah. So for example, if you are a barber in your home country, and if you want to do work as a independent barber here in New Zealand, because you know how to do the cuts and all the stuff, but technically, even if you have a open work rights, you can't do that legally, as per my understanding. So best way would be, my advice would be, in that case, before you start your business, you just take a immigration lawyer advice. It won't cost you too much, but it will save you a lot of time to struggle with a local council issues, or that regulations and the other factor actually. Yeah. So my recommendation would be for you, just go for immigration advice, lawyer advice. Yeah, so he can guide you better. He will charge you somewhere around like $100, $100 maybe for 10-15 a session. Some of the lawyer, they just give you free consultation as well for first 30 minutes, 15 minutes, depends upon every individual case to case basis. If you still want to look for a proper advisor, there is a proper website um, in immigration, in New Zealand. Uh, so there is an association of lawyers where you can find it out who are the active lawyers here, who are whose registration is still active, who is practicing legally here. And there should not be any hanky panky stuff in those profiles. So you can get a ethical website. If you're not sure, you can Google it. If you are not getting that there in Google, then just text me back, put your comment in the comment section, and I will figure it out for you. I will give that website details, and from there, thousands of immigration lawyers are there, and they are all genuine. Yeah. So you can take their expertise. Yeah. Who knows, you might get a chance of free consultation, free advice for first few minutes, and later once you become their client, then they can charge you accordingly. Yeah. That is for my side. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Another question was from this person. Um, not this person. He was in the same profile, but he's a student again, coming alone. So he was asking what kind of packing I should do for coming to New Zealand. Will I get how will I get my daily routine stuff or something like that? Should I carry my some spices or something like that? So let me answer you this question. If you really like the Indian food, so you will find plenty of options in Auckland, Christchurch, Wellington. All the big city has proper Indian food stores there, only food, like only Indian grocery store there. So every day you will get all the grocery of Indians herbs and spices in those stores. So you don't need to worry about, you don't want to carry all those like useless item like spices, herbs, like he was asking, shall I bring like sugar and tea and something like that. No, 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 you don't need to bring them. Everything you will get it, mostly same brand, they are same price. Even you don't need to about worry about the price, it's almost same price, whatever price you're getting in India. Yeah, it's just like $1 or $2 here and there, that's it. But like if you're earning money in dollars, of course you would like to pay in dollars only. You can't do like that, earning money in the dollars and pay in Indian rupees. Doesn't happen that way. So, and second thing, I understand when you come initially for the first time, everyone is really concerned about about saving the money and how they are going to survive, whether vegetarian or non-vegetarian foods are available. Or yes, of course, all kind of vegetables you will find here in a vegetable store. And all, if you are a non-meat lover, of course that's pretty very cheap. Yeah, so no need to mention that you can find frozen foods there. So even if you are more concerned about I only like Indian vegetables, you will find those Indian vegetables as well, but that would be processed. Processed means you will get in a frozen food shape. So likewise we have okara, then we have brinjals, we have sambar mixture, and we have all kind of lentils, and all kind of spices, all kind of Ayurvedic products, Ayurvedic herbs. Then what else? All the dry fruits, all the Haldiram snacks, Bikaner snacks, all kind of those snacks, whatever you use in your tea time, you will all get there. Samosas and same even chutney. I recently visited Yogiji store here in Christchurch, and I was surprised to note that that we get red color sauce along with samosas and green color sauce. So that's also been coming up in the grocery store now, and it's the same taste, it's the same taste. Yeah, I was surprised and shocked. So you really don't miss India actually when it comes to food and those kind of combinations. So when everything is comes here, like if you talk about okara, so that vegetable is not been grown up near to New Zealand or surrounding neighbor island like Fiji. New Zealand is dependent upon for fresh vegetables with other islands. Fiji has some similar same kind of vegetables. Whatever we get in India, in Fiji you will get there. But to bring those fresh vegetables to from Fiji to New Zealand, it's not. It's very expensive actually, and vegetables has short duration of life when you keep them as a fresh. Yeah. So the best way would be they just make it frozen. They cut down they just wash it then make them dry, air dry. Then after that they cut them in the pieces and then just store them in a frozen environment. And there they just send the frozen foods. Yeah. So we get all the, you don't need to worry about, we get all the grocery store of Indian, but whichever you want. So but there are plenty of when you come to New Zealand, you really don't want to dependent on Indian system. But my belief system is says when really you want to come to the other country, of course you would like to indulge in that country culture and their recipe and all the system. Actually you try to indulge in that, because if you want to stay there for long term, ultimately that is only going to help you. I'm not saying you just forget about your old taste and everything. And nowadays even it is not about New Zealand. I went to Europe as well, and I went to Southern America and America as well. You will find plenty of grocery stores there. Everywhere Indians are there, and they just bring their culture, food, and everything. Clothes even. We won't struggle for the clothes. We have all kurta pajamas and saris, suits. If you really like them, you can get them everywhere, everywhere. And if still very concerned, you can book your a courier there from India, and you can bring them back. But I don't think it's not worthwhile. So my suggestion would be, don't put your luggage, just filled up with the, like, grocery stores, like, grocery items. It is not recommendable. Just put your, like, bring a laptop if you are a student, and if you are a partner, like, just bring a normal your clothes, and maybe a warm blanket, which can be, like, a thin, not should be heavy. Yeah, because airlines doesn't allow you more than 30 kg, and 30 kg should be divided into the two suitcases actually. So which is, like, which should be easy to carry, and when it comes to, like, airport transfers. So there are still, like, plenty of scope. You can take like 30 kg luggage with you in your suitcase, with two suitcases, and, like, up to 7 kg you can bring in the flight actually. So just bring it as per your, whichever is necessity for you. Otherwise, like, and one someone was also wondering about, oh, shall I bring about my, like, normal painkillers, like, like paracetamol and all those. No, we don't want to do that. I know, like, to get a prescription you have to go for a nurse and, like, doctor channel properly. But, like, all kind of antihistaminic and anti-allergic, normal painkillers, cough syrups, you don't need any prescriptions. So it is easily available on any medical store there, and you have to just go there, visit there, and just get those medicines. Like, those medicines are also available in, like, grocery markets. So it's the same price, like, and you don't want to carry a big, because medicine also have a short expiry. Some of the medicine are expired within 6 months, and you are going to stay here for more than 1 year. Like, what you're supposed to do with those medicine actually ultimately is going to expire. So he was planning to bring some, like, say, 10 strips of paracetamol, which is absolutely useless, like, so you shouldn't do that. Yeah. So that is, like, inputs from my side, and I wish you a very very happy new year to all of you guys. And I also wish you, like, a happy Christmas, a belated happy Christmas to you, a belated happy new year to you, to everyone. May this new year brings you, like, all the prosperity and happiness in your lives, and, like, whoever your dreams come true, whatever, like, dreams you have, like, in terms of, like, this migration, or, like, whatever, like, you want. I wish everyone should get their desire, and they just, fulfill their dreams. Yeah. So that is it for my side. Thank you very much. And if you still have any concern or questions, like, you can put always, like, your inquiries in the comment sections, and I will reply them accordingly. Yeah. And thank you very much for being patient, like, and watching my videos so long. Yeah. So I wish you best of luck. Thank you so much.